Yeah, I'm from the Philippines and I'm a student studying electrical engineering currently. I started when it wasn't like really that popular locally here. And it
Uh-huh.
was like really only reserved for like movies and stuff locally. That's how most people know it here. And because of like the culture here, we have Batangas where arguably most of the Western side of flipping originated because GI started like bringing over like traditional balisongs. Actually, there's a lot of like very weird misconceptions about that because I'm pretty sure even though a lot of people here, especially the Filipino martial arts crowd, insist that the balisong really did originate here. There is a lot of like very weird stories surrounding it. Around 1900,
Mm-hmm.
there were no balisongs here, but there were patents for balisongs in France and Germany at the same time. So I'm
Oh,
pretty sure it came here first because and all the stories that originated all the stories from the Filipino martial arts crowd, I'm very sorry, but I actually do not buy them. 20 years before it came to the shores of the Philippines, 20 or 30 years before it came here, there were already patents in other countries. As much as they like to claim that this thing was like 500 years old by the time they got it, no, it just wasn't that. We did eventually get to popularize it around the world wars when GI started bringing the folding knife back to their homes and they managed to like do cool tricks with it and like yeah, history just does its thing until we get here now where the hobbies. I have found a lot more flippers here since 2021, 2022, just recently. I was like pretty early, so when I got into flipping here in the Philippines, and like Western style flipping and not like Filipino martial arts, something of a hobby or like a skill toy essentially, and not as something that you're going to have to go aggressive with if you want to like go
yeah.
defend yourself or something like that. Yeah. Anytime anybody sees me with the battle song here, first thing they tell me is, "Can you fight with it?" No, I cannot fight with this. But here it's pretty much just the martial arts crowd and like a handful of flippers.
Hmm.
But the handful of flippers I've met, they were they only really came the last couple of years.
So, as one of your hobbies,
Yeah.
like how has balisong impacted your life? Do you think?
I mostly like this hobby because when you get like decent at it, you can just turn your brain off, do something else while you like idly flip. Or you can choose how much brain power you're investing into the thing you're doing essentially with this hobby. So
Yeah.
you can do it idly, do the tricks you already know, or you can like push yourself, go for clips and stuff like that. That's basically what the hobby does for me in my daily life. It basically is just a thing that I do idly, except for when I want to take it seriously. It's pretty flexible because we have a pretty tight schedule, as you guys know at this point.
Yeah, you can just choose anytime
so-
you
so-
play it, right?
I can, yeah, I can just choose anytime for my social life. I've met a lot of very interesting people in the balisong community, and I'm very grateful for that because, well, I don't really have anybody to talk to here about balisongs. And so, like, it's pretty fun too. Like, nobody here wants to like talk about it locally. Well, some people do, but it's different when you like talk to like-minded individuals about stuff like this. It's pretty fun. Honestly, I'm a little envious of Will. They get to have like these like small get-togethers.
Yeah,
It's pretty fun. But we did have one event, but most of the people there were like martial arts practitioners instead of like hardcore flippers. I had one friend go there, and he was a flipper first, and he didn't really have any interest in the martial arts side of it, but yeah, but they did have some fun still, and he did manage to teach some of like the martial arts people some tricks that weren't like traditional and stuff like that.
So, what brand and model was your very first balisong? Like, did it influence your design in any way? You think?
Actually, yeah. I have the first thing my dad gave me. This is really old. This is like fucking 30 years old.
Oh yes.
It's it's been through some stuff. It's pretty pitted out, but I feel like I only really keep this for sentimental value. And I feel like this has influenced me a bit in my designs because I actually really like how long the blades are or
Mhm.
how like more they have more visual weight to them. These proportions are something that I'd like to like bring into like my designs. So you can see where this gap is like a lot smaller than this
Yeah.
bolster. This bolster is a lot shorter. So for the Reverie, all I did was the rivet attaching this bolster to this bolster, the rivets attaching the bolsters. The middle line of the Reverie goes from rivet here to rivet here. That's why the Reverie has this like longer flat space here and this shorter flat space here. I
Oh.
really wanted to call back to this. The only thing I never really liked about this is the blade shape. You know
Blade shape.
why? My dad promised me a different blade shape than this. I actually didn't like this particular blade shape he got me the wrong one.
Oh.
I like
Uh-huh.
what they usually refer to as a labaha.
So he's showing us
I
the
like this
oh.
blade style particularly, where
Oh, La Baja.
the blade is a lot more leaf shaped and it's a lot thinner and a lot lighter.
Oh.
I like this because I've handled some of these knives from like other people.
Uh-huh.
They flip pretty decently for how thick the blades are because
Oh.
the blades are like tapered so much. Yeah, I think they flip pretty well for
Mhm.
being traditional. But it's it's still pretty blade biased. Currently I'm using this.
Uh-huh.
So I do like my handle bias, basically. Yeah, I had my semestral break at about the same time. So I was like, I'd had nothing else to do. I had some ideas lying around in my head, and
Uh-huh.
like one time at 11 at like 12 a.m. I had the idea of like doing the design and just posted the idea, like the rough
Mm.
sketch on Instagram, and it got a pretty decent amount of traction
Yeah. I
just from
saw
that
that.
one
Yeah.
post. Yeah, that was like one of my first sketches too. So for like a new account, first time posting, it was a pretty big deal to be getting a decent amount of interaction on that one post. So I just continued the design and entered. The blade proportion on the Reverie is based on a prior design I used to have
Yeah.
on a Svix Gale reblade. So the basic handle proportions came from that. I really wanted to do a reblade because the Svix Gale was originally just a trainer and trainer only.
Oh.
I really wanted to do a reblade since I could get a pretty decent price on pretty beat up Svix Gales because they had like the handle gap issue for their earlier versions.
Mm-hmm.
I figured maybe if I save up, I could get some pretty beat up handles and like get the steel ground up locally here because we do have a pretty decent amount of knife makers here. But that didn't pan out because Create With Nabalis took up all my time after that. I just really like high-end chef knives for like their textures. I don't really cook with them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have them, but they're really nice to look at. That's basically all I had for the reasoning for that question.
Oh.
They just look really nice. And the thing about them is that you can do S grinds on them. So what S grinds are is like this little divot which they grind into the knife just helps so that when you cut food, it just falls off rather than stick to the knife. It's because it's like hollow ground into it. I wanted something like this, but I wanted it for different reasons. I wanted it because it keeps the edge thick, or about as thick as you guys could get it. And it removes a lot of weight, plus gives like the bevel shape. But it removes enough weight and gives enough space for like the cutout. The cutout, I really wanted like Damascus, right? I like Damascus and its textures, and it's often used on these chef's knives and sanmai in conjunction with that. The center part of it is a different layer of steel. So if you color it differently, you get these patterns near the edge of the blade. Normal balisong trainers, like if you want them to look like knives, think of how Atropos does their like trainers, right?
Yeah.
If you want them to look to like pass as trainers, you have to drill holes into the bevel. I just wanted something that actually looked like a knife, but didn't have like this. No offense to our turbos, but I honestly do not like this approach to doing trainers. I want something that the holes actually line up with what the knife looks like. So it
Yeah.
doesn't impede with like the idea of the knife being this training tool, essentially.
Mm.
But it keeps the charm of the live blade. So the thing about doing these holes is that I actually don't like them. So what if you just had like
Yeah, the sign May. Yeah.
you just had like this on my texture as the hole pattern, and that's how the Reverie's like trainer blade look was conceived. So I think this just looks good.
Yeah.
If people know what it came from, they immediately associate it with that. So it looks a lot less like a trainer to them and more like something sharper. Some people do not want their trainers to look sharp, but I do want my trainers to look sharp. I remember this
Yeah.
because when the first round voting was on, you guys told me that there were a lot of people complaining that I submitted a live blade into the competition.
Yes, exactly.
I
And
did
we
not. I had to change like the background color of the render just to like show that there was in fact a hole in there and you cannot sharpen this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny too. Well, I just really wanted to translate this
Yeah.
into my work. So performance after this, and I didn't really focus that much on the handles, which I feel is just like a skill issue on my part, but honestly, I don't mind because it gives much more emphasis on the blade. This blade is like 1 in a million that I thought of this first because nobody does this, and I really wanted to bring that uniqueness into the competition.
Blade focused on design, and then you just, like, let's say the concept came first, right?
Yeah, the concept came first. I really wanted to preserve that, then focus on performance afterwards. Not really, but a pretty good like, okay, this is for anybody wanting to design a balisong. Contraption Collection has this amazing video on like how to like start designing your balisongs in CAD, and like pretty decent like, wait, I'm going to share the link to you after this.
Yeah, show us.
No tangent, this guy makes balisong scissors. These are scissors actually, but he has this amazing guide on this video is pretty much what started me on the journey. It took me like about a day after watching this to like really design the knife.
Wow.
This is like a pretty good head start, especially if you're using Fusion. Yeah, this is my comment.
I saw that anybody else watching this video for the Nabalis competition.
This is my comment. This is my comment. This was 7 months ago when I was like designing the Reverie. So yeah,
thank you.
Watch this. If you want to like design something and you do not know where to start, design this and it'll pretty much give you a very nice head start. It's a very good tutorial, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the first ones that are this good for the community. There was another one, but it's more about doing handles and like how to like correctly measure rehandles and stuff like that. But this is more complete.
Thank you for that. I for sure like let's just share it to our fans, to anybody in the community who is interested in designing the balisongs or designing like in general, right?
Yeah, in general, because this channel does some pretty hardcore machining stuff too, so you can learn a bit about that as well. I really like Contraption Collection for this.
Which designer do you feel like has the biggest influence on your balisong design? Like who is your, you have your favorite designer, like in general? It's not about like only balisong designer.
I'm pretty split actually. I have 3 main inspirations for my designs. It's Palatheus. Palatheus makes these like really nice handmade stuff, and I really liked his recurve Bowie stuff. And for my initial designs, I like how high he puts the grinds on these things. It gives you a lot of space. I really like how how high the grinds are on these. It gives you a lot of space here for the logos. Do you see these logos?
Yeah.
He could have started the grind at the Zen cup, right? He could have started the grind at the Zen cup, but like having it higher up here gives you like this really nice visual motif, and it gives you enough space for a very big logo, which I like. This is one of the things that I wanted to incorporate into the Reverie. Look at my old stuff. You get this like really huge void here near the pivots for the logo.
I recall that.
And even up until like, so this is a design that I've been recently working on. I really like having this huge negative space for the logo too. So this is one of the designs that I plan on keeping on. And keeping on, I'm like planning on taking on from Palatheus pretty much. And his Bowies too. For the love of me, I cannot design a recurve Bowie. That's why all my designs are pretty much the Bowie, but the blade is like a straight grind instead of being curvy, because I cannot for the life of me get decent proportions that look kind of okay. But for them, they have pretty good proportions. I cannot do these I cannot do these like curved grinds, because when I design them, they look all wonky. So another person that I've liked, Jakob's knives. So if you look at his knives, they have like this distinctive Bowie shape where like, and like these like gorgeous tontos. Like I first came to knowledge about JW through Will Hirsch's video about them, and his first magnet. Will Hirsch's magnet. That Bowie profile is just awesome. I really love that thing. It looks pretty simplistic. See where I got the whole pattern, but instead of the whole pattern, I just milled it out. It's because I ran out of ideas. Like, hey, look, Jakob has like these cool knives. Look, what's the whole pattern? It's literally just a line on the handle. That's where I got the idea for like just putting the line on my handles, because my handles are pretty basic. I wanted to keep the simplicity of it in my design as well. And Jakob is one of like those creators that takes those simple designs and executes them so well that it doesn't really matter that the design is like simple. It's fine if it's simple. Like, you don't have to be like the most. It doesn't have to have like a bajillion holes in the handles for it to look cool. It could just be like the details. And with how many like designs have already been done, I've had like people from Create With Nabalis, right, who saw my design and like asked, how did I make this? How did you like land on the handle design for this? And, like, specifically, there were a lot of people who had like problems with handle designs. They could all come up with decent blades, but people really got stuck up on handles, because every time they tried to like make a good handle design, every time they wanted to have handles that they considered to be cool, those designs were already in like some other balisong. Because like, with how many balisongs have been made, pretty much a lot of the available handle designs have already been taken.
Yeah.
So people are scared that, well, if I do this, then I'm just cloning him. No. If you just differentiate a thing a little bit, it's fine. As long as you don't copy it one-to-one, you can be inspired by things. You don't have to like come up with something totally new, because coming up with something totally new is really hard. Oh yeah. Oh, another one. He's a designer. He started off as a reblade guy, but he made these like yeah, he makes these now. So these are arsenals. I really like how they look, but I also really like how like, so this is basically the opposite of my design, where the handles are just really textured. They have a lot of detail. But other than that, I just really like his stuff and the whole pattern.
Yeah.
I was originally planning on adding these 4 holes on the blade. Oh, these 5 holes on the blade. Because these 5 holes on the blade, if you look at this,
Rainbow style balisong. Yeah.
they have like these holes on the blade. I was originally planning on adding those to like the Reverie, but I elected not to, because I'm already removing so much material from the blade that it might end up being two handlebars. I am influenced by Revenge of the Blades a bit, but it didn't really show a lot of that influence in the Reverie. But I really do like the designer too. It's fine to just iterate. It's fine to iterate. But
Yeah.
if you can make something new, go for it.
Go
Nothing's
for it,
stopping
yeah.
you. Yeah. It's fine to like copy others' work for a little while. Yeah, especially if you're a beginner, because you don't know what's good until you've seen good things. You don't really have to like copy them, essentially. Like you don't have to like copy them. You can just take inspiration, and that's fine. If people think and people like complain that you were, just copying them, it's them and it's not you. But if you know for yourself that your design is good enough to stand on its own feet while being inspired by other designs, I think that's fine.
So if you could collaborate with any designer, who would you choose?
I actually really want to like collaborate with like some traditional knife makers because I don't really know a lot of traditional knife makers here locally.
Oh,
But if I really wanted something a little bit more feasible, I'd probably go towards like the local knife makers here. So yeah, some of them make like really good designs. I have one here that I can show you. He normally makes folders and stuff. He makes these like really, really nice.
wow.
He like makes these like really nice knives too. I kind of want to like collaborate with him on balisongs if he ever wants that. I'm pretty sure that he's doing his own thing and he's doing his own thing pretty well. But if I want to collaborate with somebody from the Bowie, probably Squid. Probably you guys again if you're down for it. For the balisong hobby, at least, I would want to like collaborate with Squid Industries or you guys or probably Machine Wise or any other maker. As long as they're willing to collaborate, I'm pretty much down for it, honestly.
Let's move to the culture thing. What are the differences between balisong culture in like Western countries and Asia? Do you think these like differences have influenced your design style?
I'm going to give a slightly different Asian perspective because, of course, I'm in the Philippines and balisong culture here is mostly Filipino martial arts.
Yeah.
And a few Western style flippers. I have seen them. They do exist in the Philippines. But we are limited. Because I feel in America, it's probably a lot more fun to go on trips with your buddies who also do the same thing as you do. But here, it's not really feasible. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, pretty much that. So to summarize, I just think balisong culture here isn't as strong. Not necessarily because of the people. I mean, like technically, the balisong culture in the Philippines is strong. We do technically have a lot of like makers, but they're mostly for the tool crowd, the ADC crowd, the knife crowd, and much less of the balisong crowd in general. And for the community, there are a lot of people in the Philippines who own balisongs, but there are not a lot of people in the Philippines who flip them. Basically, I really want next Create with Nabalis to like have people submit designs that are like steel handles, similar to like the Canyon. I really like the concept of the Canyon. I'd really want other people to like do steel handles as well. Also G10, like full G10 handles.
Wow, full
So
G10.
Lanier Knives has this knife called the script. It's like just a stick of G10 for the handles with like some screws and weights in them. I really want a trainer to like go down that route, similar to how JK has his G10 Orca. The thing about the G10 Orca is that it's expensive
Yes,
for like
it is.
something made of titanium and G10.
Yeah.
But I'd really want like other participants in Create With Nabalis to like do more of that as well, because I think those concepts are pretty like underexplored in like the current community, I feel.
And thank you so much for joining in this meeting with us, Neil.